You're listening to Simulcast, a podcast about healthcare simulation.
So welcome to another edition of Simulcast. I'm Victoria Brazel and I'm joined by Ben Simon again in something that's very exciting to us, and that is the announcement of a collaboration we have in covering the IMSH, International Meeting for Simulation in Healthcare. Ben, it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. I guess we did that with SimHealth in Sydney, and really excited to see how it goes when we head over to the USA.
Yes, that's right. And so we'll be hoping to bring people a little bit of the highlights of what's the latest, but also what are some core goodness in the simulation world. And so tonight we're joined by Joe Lopreiato, who many of you might know, who's the current president of the Society for Simulation in Healthcare. How are you, Joe?
Very well, thank you.
Listen, we're going to talk to you a little bit about IMSH. So maybe let's start with you first. What do you do in Sim? And then maybe tell us a little bit about IMSH and why you go.
Great. Well, I am currently the medical director of our university-based simulation center, whose learners are primarily medical students and graduate nurses. And also am the associate dean for simulation at our university, meaning I have oversight over all of the simulation activities at our medical and science university in the United States. So I'm really happy about IMSH, the International Meeting for Simulation in Healthcare. It's one of the largest healthcare simulation meetings in the world. And in 2019, we'll be in our 19th edition of this meeting. And it's really a forum for the exchange of ideas for healthcare simulationists. The meeting itself is sponsored by the Society for Simulation in Healthcare, which is now a 4,000-member society dedicated to serving the global community of simulationists, all in an effort to enhance the quality of healthcare for all. So I'm really happy that the society backs and sponsors this meeting where simulationists from around the world can get together.
Yeah, and it is, as you say, it's now a big organization and it's a big meeting. And I've been a few times now, and I do feel like one of both the opportunities, but also, I guess, one of the challenges is to get around and see all the things that there are to see. Exhibition halls got a lot of latest technology, obviously the plenary speakers, and then you've got people presenting all their great work, whether it's research or innovation. Can you give us a little sense of some of the things you're looking forward to this year?
Oh, yes. Well, there's a couple of things that I'm really excited about this year's IMH. We expect that we'll probably have over 3,000 attendees. And while that may seem like a large meeting, we have a number of sessions in place to help those who this may be their first meeting or second meeting. So there's a new member orientation. There's a mentor-mentee session. There's a program guide to show you that if you're new to simulation, these are some things you ought to think about. And if you're a veteran of simulation, these are some areas you should go. And I think one of the interesting things about this year's edition of IMSH, which will be held in January 2019, is that we'll be in a new city for the first time, San Antonio, Texas, which is in the south central portion of the United States, where the weather in January is usually very comfortable. And it's a very family-friendly city. I used to live there for about 2 years in the 1990s. So I can tell you it's a very compact downtown, very walkable city, lots of attractions for all members of the family. There is the famous River Walk, which is a long river that courses through the city, lined with shops, restaurants, and some small museums. And everything's sort of compact downtown. The airport's not very far from the downtown. So all in all, I think we're really excited about our new venue, and we hope that it will attract a lot of new members. The other thing I like about the session this year is we're going to have over 200 sessions of workshops, forums, panels, on a variety of topics. There's bound to be something that'll be interesting to everyone who comes. And we have about 200 abstracts and posters that have been peer reviewed by our research committee and ready for presentation, so that when you come, you'll get the latest science in healthcare simulation, which I find very exciting and attractive. We have a number of meetings on Sunday morning during the meeting. These Sunday morning meetings will be for sections, special interest groups, and affinity groups. And these are groups in which like folks in simulation can get together and talk about what's interesting to them, so that if you have a particular niche or interest in an area of healthcare sim, I bet you can find a section, a special interest group, or an affinity group that has people just like you. And all those meetings will take place on Sunday morning. So if you can come on Sunday, you'll be able to meet with many of those groups. We're also going to try something new this year. It's called the Presidential Diamond Ball. So this will be a Saturday night event where we're going to have dinner, dancing, and entertainment. And we're going to recognize those members who have achieved certification either as a healthcare simulation educator or a healthcare simulation operations specialist. So those who have achieved those individual honors, and those programs that have achieved accreditation will be honored during this Diamond Ball on Saturday night, which we're looking forward to. And that's open to anyone who would like to come. And lastly, of course, we're going to have an expanded science and technology demonstration area with a serious games arcade and an augmented virtual reality cave on display. So I think I'm really excited about all of the things the planning committee has done this year to make IMSH a really big, great meeting.
Yeah, and I think from what you say, there's something for the educator folks, something for the sim ops folks, something for people who are really into technology and gaming, and I guess a general flavor of innovation. Ben, I might go to you now because I understand, I think you're a first-time attendee at IMSH. You've been looking at the website and things. What's your thoughts? What should we be covering? What are you looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, so I'm going to be a complete newbie. I'm really excited to check it out. I want to deep dive into that augmented reality cave, actually. That sounds pretty cool. Looking forward to catching up with a few friends from Journal Club from around the world and definitely checking out some of the workshops as well. Excellent.
Sounds good. So just while we're talking here, just so people can get a couple of details, if you want to find out more about IMSH, it's imsh2019.com, and that's where it's got the program, the registration details, some of the other information about sponsors and the Expo Hall. We've been very fortunate to partner with IMSH with Simulcast, and so we're going to be interviewing some of the keynote speakers, some of the exhibitors, but also taking a little bit of a free-form look around the presentations and hopefully catching some of the audience and attendee perspectives as well. So although Joe said all those nice things about San Antonio, Ben, I think you and I are going to be sweating over some hot audio editing. Is that about right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I know we've both picked out our outfits for the ball and everything, but I'm looking forward to prowling the floors a little bit and interviewing some random people that we meet and getting to know the US sim community a little bit better.
Who's wearing the glass slippers, you or me?
We can take turns, or we can wear one each.
I was hoping you wear cowboy hats and cowboy boots. That would be more appropriate.
Oh, we don't want to perpetuate stereotypes.
Yes, don't get us started, Joe. All right. So, Joe, it's been great to spend a few minutes here just talking about those general thoughts about the conference. We're pleased to, as I said, be there with you guys. Any sort of final thoughts or things that people should be doing as they get ready to go and make the most of the conference?
Well, I think if you haven't thought about coming, now's the time to think about coming. Registration is still open. And if you've come before, we welcome you back. I particularly love going just to meet the people and to network with people. I think that is one of the biggest draws for me. You know, sometimes in my work, I may feel like I'm the only one advocating for sim in my area, or I may be trying to do something with sim and no one quite understands what I'm trying to do. But when I go to IMSH, I meet people just like me who are just as passionate about simulation as I am. And I feel energized and refreshed to go back to work and keep fighting for simulation and keep getting resources and doing the things we want to do. So I find it as a great place to come and recharge your batteries. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's winter time, so it's great to come and recharge your batteries here in the middle of winter. But even if you're coming from the Southern Hemisphere, it's great to just recharge and find like people who are interested in things that you're interested in. And I think that's what I like about IMSH, not to mention the science and not to mention the exhibit hall, which is just going to be packed this year with some great new science and new technologies to look at. A lot of gee whiz things there. So I'm really excited about IMSH, and I hope everyone on this podcast is excited about it.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a nice note to start to wrap up on, because certainly that's one of the real ethos things we have behind Simulcast. As you say, people are often doing simulation a little bit in their own world with maybe just a small group or even completely on their own, and this just adds a level of community to that. So just for our Simulcast listeners, if you've had a look at the program but you can't make it, we'd be really pleased to hear from you, some things that you particularly like us to cover for you, either in terms of a a daily wrap or people to interview. And as I said, Ben and I'll do our best to pick out the highlights that folks might be interested in hearing. So thanks again very much, Joe. Thank you very much, Ben. We'll look forward to January and talking more then.
Simulcast.
So just a little update. Since we recorded that podcast, the organisers have announced that the plenary sessions from the conference will be live streamed via the IMSH2019.com website, and that's for both society members and non-members. So that's something to look forward to if you can't make it in person. So just a reminder for registration and details, that's IMSH2019.com, also on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter as hashtag capitals IMSH2019. We'll look forward to bringing you more from the conference, and we'll be talking to you more from Simulcast in the meantime.
Simulcast.